Please join me in welcoming Puyan Leung, partner Vertex Ventures Southeast Asia and India on stage. Puyan Leung serves as a partner at Vertex Ventures Southeast Asia and India and focuses on opportunities in Southeast Asia. Prior to joining Vertex Venture, Puyan was a director of investments and operations at Singtel Innovate. Puyan is a Kaufman Fellow and graduated with a Bachelor of Electrical Engineering from National University of Singapore.
Thank you so much for staying during this lunch shift. I'd like to invite all my panelists up here. I think we're running behind time, so let's just huddle up here and start talking. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I think we might be missing one mic. If someone could give a mic over here. Thank you.
Oh, come closer.
Okay, cool. Let's dive right into it. So, well, in the recent years, obviously, the topic of sustainability has emerged as a highly critical topic across the private and public sector. Government around the world are driving the green transition through policy interventions and also financial measures. And consumers, on the other hand, an increasing number of them are claiming that they take into consideration sustainability as a factor when they make a purchase decision. At the same time, more businesses, including tech businesses, are adopting sustainability as a core corporate strategy. So here today we have a panel of experienced tech business leaders to discuss the topic of greening the digital revolution, sustainability in technology. I am Puyan, I'm partner at Vertex Ventures Southeast Asia and India, a generalist early stage VC fund, which also look at sustainability as one of core pillar. Now, I don't want to waste any more time, so let's jump right into it. Perhaps I could just rotate down the line. Please give an introduction about yourself and your company, and also how your business leverage technology for business operation. Starting with you, Benjamin.
Sure. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. I'm Benjamin Azada from Converge ICT Solutions. We are the second largest fixed broadband services provider in the Philippines, and we currently have 2.3-ish million subscribers, including both residential and enterprise. So we're obviously a communications and technology company, so that's how we use technology. And what we really want to do is leave no one behind, bridge the digital divide, and help companies and help education, businesses use connectivity to decarbonize their own operations. And hopefully we'll have a more sustainable Philippines.
Adrien?
Morning, everyone. I'm Adrien from SaladStop. We started in Singapore 15 years ago. We're today in 7 markets, and we've got about 75 stores. So we're definitely more the downstream customer-facing side of things. We've adopted technology in many ways, one of which is a new brand called Heybo, which we launched just before COVID. 100% of our transactions happen through ordering kiosks. We've also invested a lot, in operational technology over the years. And the biggest change for us over the past few years has actually been to build our own in-house full-stack tech team. So today we actually build solutions for our own concepts and moving a lot into personalized nutrition.
Thank you. Fred?
Hi, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and an honor and a privilege actually to be with you all. I know this is, the fact that you are here means you're the best and the brightest in innovation and pushing the boundaries. So, and that's what we have to do. This is a time where things are, different various technologies are coming together, and we have an opportunity to make a difference. My name is Fred Gomez. I'm a Director for Technology Services with Gemological Institute of America. We're based in California. Moved over to Singapore a couple of years ago. We are a global organization. We in the business of imparting training and building trust in the industry. And speaking of trust, there is this misnomer that digital transformation conflicts with greening. It doesn't. Sustainability and digital transformation can play together. And in fact, with the advent of technology today, with AI and IoT, we'll see later in the discussion how these come together to help further drive sustainability and advancement in that space. So I'm looking forward to this engaging discussion. It needs to be an interactive session. I want all of you to participate. We all have a stake in this game. Sustainability. 15 years ago, we all we were talking about reuse, recycle. Let's reduce the use of paper. Now it's the focus has changed. It's let's green. Let's look at greening the future. So let's take this challenge head on, and I invite you to participate in this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe we'll cover the first topic of energy first. That's always a big topic. And actually, it's a little bit of a segue from the earlier panel to talk about data center, but we have two operators here. So let's talk about it. So digital economies rely heavily on data centers, right? And data centers are responsible for a significant amount of global energy consumption. And I think there's a report that says that energy demand from data centers may double from the current levels by 2026. So turning to you, Benjamin, hot seat over here, you are ICT operator. So can you share with the audience a little bit, what is your company's approach in energy management and integrating energy efficient practices as part of the, your business operations?
Sure. Yeah, we're as a broadband provider, obviously, we do use a lot of energy. We have two core nodes, or kind of mini data centers in the island of Luzon. The PUEs of those, or power utilization effectiveness ratio, isn't world class. It's 1.5 to 1.6, so respectable for given the size of the nodes and the fact that we're in a tropical country. But we've already brought that down significantly. We're adopting ISO 50001 as our energy management standard, and we've been taking steps to reduce our overall energy intensity. So I think in 2023, just let me quote some stats. We had a 23% reduction in energy intensity in terms of how much energy you use per petabyte of data transmitted, right? So and also we've also been able to improve the ratio of renewable energy that we're using for our overall operation. So it's now at 32%. And we're quite pleased that our government, the Philippine government, has put in that regulatory framework to allow large users of energy to engage in PPAs to purchase direct their energy requirements from the generators. I'm not sure whether all countries in Southeast Asia are allowed to do that, but we're very glad we do that. And we're looking forward to the government further reducing the minimum threshold by which you can avail of this retail competition and open access, so that we can have more of our operations on renewable. But whilst we cannot do that right now, further increase our percentage of renewables, what we're going to do is focus very much on energy efficiency, just basic blocking and tackling. For example, our team is turning off workloads, moving some of our workloads to the cloud, which obviously if it's in the cloud, then it's on bigger data centers, which are much more efficient than small nodes that we have. Even just optimizing our cabling so that you reduce energy consumption. So things like that have really improved our energy intensity and our energy management.
Has there been any particular challenges as you think about energy efficiency management for your company?
Yeah, well, our two nodes, aka data centers, weren't, they're legacy nodes. So these were built, more than 10 years ago, right? More than. So not when sustainability wasn't really on the agenda. So it's not designed to be super energy efficient. So what we've been doing is really tweaking on the edges in terms of energy management. What we want to do is all future builds will be to the current standards, and also be of a size that we can avail of the retail competition program of the government. So that's how we're going to do it going forward.
Thank you so much. Fred, turning to you. I have to admit, reading about your company's profile, I did not realize that diamond industry is so tech intensive. So this is a completely different insight for me. Thanks for being here. So, in 2022, your company announced a partnership with IBM to harness the power of AI to create the clarity of diamond. Now, AI is known to be highly energy intensive, but actually it also could be a tool to help to promote efficient energy management. So can you maybe provide some color and some good examples of how AI can be used to help us on this fight against climate change?
Absolutely. So before we get there, right? So you're right. We are a global company. We have got presence in 10 different countries, and thank you for such service providers. We can rely on them. But here's the footnote to what my previous panel speaker was saying, right? So he's providing data centers, and we all are from organizations that probably have individual data centers at your sites or locations. We have 11 different countries sites, and every site has a data center. Now, ding ding, is the light bulb going off here? I mean, don't we have an opportunity to maybe consolidate those 11 down to one single centralized data center, aka providers like what we have here? Yes. So, and in fact, we are in the business of doing that, right? As we speak, we are beginning to shut down the infrastructure on-prem and reduce the carbon footprint at these 11 countries, so that we can start moving more and more workloads to the cloud, right? Now, are we shifting it completely? No. So imagine if you have, it's more efficient than running 10 different data centers, right? When you move workloads to the cloud, you're transferring, you're optimizing, you're also leveraging the economies of scale, right? They're able to pass those, not only in terms of savings, in terms of carbon footprint also, right? So that aspect of that is there. So if you look at an individual data center, there's every UPS, the cooling systems, the racks, the management of that, the list goes on, right? Take those 11 of that and do the math, and then take maybe 3 of that when we move it to a centralized location or cloud. That drastically reduces the carbon footprint. So that's the contribution there, right? On harnessing the power to cut AI power consumption, let's look at, I think the previous panelists, they were talking about how intense the compute requirements are for AI, right? Training, there's a lot more data now with digital transformation. So, and in order to train the models, you need heavy compute power. There is the advent that more complex AI models are being requested. So the more complexity it is, you have to build more compute, offer more compute infrastructure. And last but not least is, because of the proliferation of AI, more and more requests are coming in. So previously it was this number of requests. Now the number of requests are scaling. So that's going to hit your AI infrastructure, and the compute requirements are going to go up. So how do we? It is not all doom and gloom. Why can't we use, or not that why can't, we are already using AI itself to start optimizing this, right? So when you start optimizing, we're moving from large language models to more specific language models, right? So now, agreed, your large language models are consuming a significant amount of compute. But when we scale it down and as the AI industry evolves, we will see more and more very specific smaller language models. We don't require this large scale compute. Then the fact that AI is becoming this prevalent, and the demand is increasing, it's automatically going to drive this organic move towards AI as a service, right? So now, when you start doing AI as a service, you're going to bill AI as a service. So now there's like, okay, let me do it if I need it. I don't do it all the time, right? So that's going to naturally put downward pressure on the number of requests coming in. So I think there's all these inherent, built-in mechanisms. We're not in a revolution that's new. We've gone through many industrial revolutions, many technology revolutions. We are at a different juncture now. The pace is different, but we are now smarter because we have smarter tools, right? So I think we can leverage those to play it back into the system and gain from the efficiencies that this will give us.
So it's not just about brute forcing AI, but selecting what is right for the business model in the geography that's relevant. Okay, thank you, Fred. Now, Adrien, thank you for waiting. Let's shift gear to supply chain now. So that's the other hot topic within sustainability. SaladStop announced the launch of a net zero outlet in 2022, and since then you have launched a second one, right? I think this is fascinating. Can you please share with the audience there must have been a lot of trade-off and consideration you have taken into account across the entire supply chain to make that happen. Can you maybe give us some color on the thought process?
Sure. So this journey sort of started 2 years ago for us. We sort of had sustainability baked into our DNA. We're healthy food. Obviously, we try to keep that carbon footprint down as much as possible by sourcing locally. But we really wanted to sort of take on the challenge to see how would we build a net zero store. And this was the first time we actually looked at the built environment, because for restaurant operators, to be honest, we very rarely work with contractors to look at the materials that we choose and actually challenge that sort of scope 3 and parts of our business that just seem quite far away versus obviously what we source from the food side of things. So we opened the store at Capita Spring, which looked at what suppliers we could use in Singapore. So a few examples: we worked with Semcorp, where we melted recycled bottle caps into tiles that created sort of a dome-like structure in the store. We worked with a company that used fallen trees in Singapore. We turned those into tabletops. We worked with Deliveroo. They changed their algorithm in the UK to actually accommodate carbon neutral delivery. So from that store, deliveries are only done by foot or bicycle. And there's a whole list of initiatives that we tested. And I think for us, we fundamentally believe that our impact only happens at scale. So we sort of then took a step back and we said, okay, well, we learned a lot in this store. What is actually scalable here? Because we can't print 5,000 tiles with recycled bottle caps for every store. How can we do this in every market as well that we operate? So we then worked actually with a company called ATinc and built an experience master plan with them. Because for us, it was great to build that net zero store, and customers said, well, thumbs up, SaladStop, well done, but how do we actually get them to participate, right? So we are the end user here. We're the ones that want customers to potentially change behavior. That's the impact that we can have. And so the challenge for us was, well, how do we get them to participate? We had a lot of sustainability initiatives in the store. You brought your own bowl, we gave you a free topping, etc. But we didn't really see that level of engagement. So in the latest store that we opened, we actually built what we call a digital ledge. So it's a screen that runs all along the salad bar. And that's something that we built in-house. So again, having our own tech team now, we're able to build these solutions. It's a communication tool between the salad artist and the customer. And that helps from an operational efficiencies perspective. But now we're actually able to engage with them on a completely different level. So as an example, if the kale that you've selected, you might not know that it's double in antioxidants. And actually it's grown on a hydroponic farm in Singapore, which uses 80% less water. So this is now how we're starting to connect the dots to the customer. And at the end, when they check out, they can carbon offset their footprint. So we had carbon labeled the menu since probably 5 years ago, but now we're bringing this to life. So we're saying, which project would you like to support? And how that would mean maybe a 20 cents donations to be able to offset your carbon footprint. So trying to bridge that gap, I think customers today, still it all boils down to convenience. I think if you're able to match the product and have that convenience and product, I think then comes sustainability. But what we're trying is to sort of make that a no-brainer. It's a split-second decision at the cashier. And so, from a net zero store to try to sort of get to the point where we work through the entire customer journey, and now how we scale that technology. So what's interesting is, how we apply that to other markets, and what resonates with those markets, because a net zero store will not resonate in the Philippines, but, working with a local community would. The same as in Indonesia, recycling plastic, turning those into tables resonates, but not the extent of a net zero store.
Thank you for answering the question I haven't asked yet, but no, it's very interesting because you are two net zero store, but you have 70 over store across a number of markets, right? And the customer preferences are different. The willingness to pay is different. Like, you know, so how can you make sure that you can maybe also apply tech to make sure that you have economies of scale, but you can also ensure that you adhere to that principle overall? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, a lot of that, I think, is now, from a customer standpoint, is very much embedded in what we do. They see that, obviously, when they walk into the store, all the initiatives that we have, but what we see as really probably the most scalable solution is the content we get to deliver, how we engage with that end user and bring them along that journey. I think, you know, some customers are just there for pure transactions. They're happy to support you. And then others, and we see this especially in developing markets, they really do want to engage. They want to learn. And we've become a little bit of an aspirational lifestyle brand. And along that, we kind of slide in the sustainability side of things. So it's just the beginning of that journey. To be honest, we have, you know, just going through these exercises, we realize that we have so much to explore. One little add-on I would say is, again, from a construction standpoint, we're seeing that it's not just about how we source materials, but the whole life cycle of that store. So how do we now actually tear down a store and move it? So all of our stores are built in a modular way. The beams, everything can actually be deconstructed and built again elsewhere.
Very cool. Okay, quickly now to Fred, right? Trust is very important in the diamond industry. So can you give some examples on how your company uses technology to promote trust and also promote decarbonization effort across the diamond supply chain?
So absolutely, I think the industry, I can speak from an industry standpoint, right? Because we're in the business of grading diamonds. And the diamond industry itself is, you mine the diamonds, you manufacture, and then it goes into retail, right? You take the mining industry, there's this decarbonization happening in all through the supply chain. You take the mining industry, you can use electric vehicles for movement of items, right? You can look at solar and wind power, those power sources to replace that. You can look at even the carbon capture, utilization, and storage. In fact, the Energy Market Authority of Singapore is actually looking at how they can play with industries locally to see, to promote some ideation in that space. So you take the retail industry, there is logistics that you can optimize using AI and data analytics, all leveraging technology. So every aspect of the supply chain, from manufacturing all the way to the table, you have opportunity to introduce sustainable solutions to reduce the carbon footprint, right?
Got it. Benjamin, so as an ICT provider, you would have a lot of scrap modems, fiber cable, and all that. How do you deal with all that e-waste?
Yeah, this wasn't really top of our agenda at first, but then the ITU, the International Telecommunication Union, set a target globally for 30% recycling or reuse of e-waste, or reduction in e-waste, right? So all of a sudden, I'm the chief sustainability officer in addition to my role as head of sales and marketing.
That's convenient.
Yeah, so all of a sudden I said, okay, we need to do, at least be seen to be doing something about it, right? So what we did was, at the right time, we were also about to launch a lower cost prepaid brand. So we're one of the first in the world to do prepaid fiber internet. And what we do to reduce the cost, we use refurbished modems. So customers who would churn out of our regular brand, we would collect the modems back, refurbish them, clean them up, reprogram reprogram it so it's configured to be a prepaid service, and we deliver it, and we'd use that for our prepaid service. So I think last year 115,000 modems were refurbished, and therefore did not disappear into landfill or sit on a shelf in someone's apartment or in their box with all of their wires, right? So we're now, the challenge now is to try and get more of our former subscribers to give up their modems, right? Because some of them, they want to use them as router extenders or whatever it is, or they think, oh, this is already mine, I paid for it. So now it's about customer education, but we're hoping to increase the percentage of recycling and reuse of modems, which is our biggest proportion of our potential e-waste in our business.
Sustainable and make business sense. Very good. Now, we are almost out of time, so I'm just gonna quick fire question for all of you, just 20 seconds, don't take more than that. Last question, right? If there's one tech trend or disruption that you feel can significantly accelerate the decarb effort for tech businesses, what would it be? Now, Benjamin, go back to you, 20 seconds.
Me, it's more of decarbonizing our customers. So still providing access. Most of our customers or in the businesses are SMEs. They still use paper and, so we want to decarbonize them, give them the connectivity and the digital access, and then that will help them reduce their carbon footprint.
I guess as a tech-enabled business, we'd be looking more at sort of IoT devices, sensors that would allow us to track, energy uses in the fridge, all the way down to the farm. I think there's huge opportunities through that whole supply chain, water usage, again, NAU usage, and an agri-tech setup. So I think that's something, again, that's very real to us, something we can measure.
Wonderful, Fred.
I'm a TOGAF certified architect. So if you're not familiar with TOGAF, the Open Group Architecture Framework, they have recently come out with a new framework that you can leverage to build a sustainable, environmentally sustainable information systems architecture strategy. So if you're not familiar with that, look them up. They have playbooks, they have guidelines, frameworks, reference models you can leverage if you're building, or at least ask your information systems experts to go there and download those frameworks and use to build a environmentally sustainable information technology strategy. Thank you.
On that positive note, thank you so much, panelists, and I hope you have enjoyed the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, panel members, for the session.